Right, it's the 11th of November 2016 and just over there is Pendle Hill, where George Fox had his epiphany for the Quaker movement, and I was actually here back on Halloween, the 31st of October, and there was just an amazing spider web that went all the way along, and still some remnants of it, you see there. So I'm just doing this video to explain a couple of connections between the 2 days, because I think it's important for people to at least acknowledge that other things might be going on in this world and start seeing through the veil. Basically today, in old England times, was Halloween, but when we transferred over to the Gregorian calendar, England lost 11 days. And if we'd transferred as we were, just introduced it on the same day, this would have been Halloween too. And it's very interesting. Of course, the Gregorian calendar was introduced to sort out a slight mishap in the alignment with the solar cycles of planet Earth with the calendar itself, and it was slightly out of sync, and different nations transferred over to it at different times in their history. But when England did, we lost 11 days. And what's very interesting is that on Halloween 2014, members of families from fallen heroes were invited to walk through a sea of blood at the Tower of London and engage in a remembrance of death on that said day. And for a number of days afterwards, hundreds of thousands of people walked around the bloody tower and that sea of blood in the same apparent remembrance. And when you start understanding the connection between the 2 days, something starts becoming quite clear to you. Because if that remembrance for Armistice Day, which is also today, the day of oneness, where people are being manipulated to remember death, on a day where we could be creating life in our new reality. Then things become clear, because if those ceremonies, if those rituals, if those remembrances were to honour the people that fell in those manipulated wars, then why didn't it take place in somewhere like Hyde Park in the field? And why didn't it start on the 1st of November? That to me would be an appropriate way to go about that kind of remembrance. But it didn't. And here's the other thing, because as I said, George Fox the Christian had his epiphany of the Quaker movement just over there. And it's an interesting history with what's happened with Christianity and Jesus Christ. Because for the first 100 years after Jesus Christ was crucified by the Romans persecuted all the Gnostics who were trying to keep his teachings alive, to let people know that God is in everything we see around us, and we are the co-creators of our reality. And that knowledge was destroyed. And once that was done, well, the Romans went and adopted Christianity as their religion. But did they? Because before, they were part of the cult of Mithras, the slaughter of the bull and the shedding of its blood to create new life on planet Earth. is part of their doctrine, part of their cult, from Babylonian times, from the age of Taurus. And strangely enough, after they supposedly adopted Christianity as their religion, they had people focusing their worship on the figure of a tortured man. How was that life-giving? What are you meant to get from that? And at ceremonies thereafter, people ate the body of Christ and drank his blood in symbolism. That's not life-giving. That's satanic, from what I can see. And the thing is, with this confusion with what paganism is, how that's been demonised, it's, for me, what I understand is that paganism is just the acknowledgement of the life giving energy in everything around us, and the worship of nature and its natural cycles. And those within that understanding can go one of two ways. You have the Satanists who wish to use that knowledge, that energy and that power to create a world which is subservient to them, as if they were God, to be in full control of life. And you have the goodly people who understand that energy, see that reality, and wish to work in harmony and balance with nature, and understand that they are co-creators with God through their heart and intuition, and they are here to create heaven upon earth and not the hell that has been created through the followers of Mithras. In Christian terms, it is the difference between Lucifer, who took that knowledge for his own gain, and Jesus himself, who is trying to enlighten everyone. And this is what I understand. And so on this day of armistice, when people are manipulated, to remember the heroes who fell, who died, who were slaughtered in manipulated wars, which goes against life on earth, which goes against God, which goes against the word of Jesus Christ. It's time we realise what is occurring there, and we stop being manipulated by these satanic entities, and we take back our power, our life, our co-creation and our connection with all that is godly and beautiful and wonderful on planet Earth, on Gaia and in the universe. This is all I've got to say. Lots of love. Lee.